Let's bring in Albert Breer via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing Monday morning quarterback. So let's start with this. Albert, how long was this in the works?
Well, I can tell you that the Patriots have been making calls on him for a couple of months. It intensified over the last few days, but Bill Belichick talked to Norv Turner and some other coaches who've worked with Cam, I'd say in March and April. And it was sort of one of those things that was a slow burn on the table for them. And then I'd say over the last couple of weeks or so, some of the Patriots offensive assistants started making calls on Cam, and the people around Cam started to get the idea that this thing could happen.
Does it mean New England's out on Jarrett Stidham?
Not necessarily. I don't think they're going to hand the job to Cam Newton. That said, I think Cam's clearly the favorite for the job now. They're going to make him earn it. What's so fascinating about this, Colin, is they basically spent the entire offseason preparing Jarrett Stidham to be the starter, putting him through all of that, developing him as a young quarterback, giving him personal attention. And now on the doorstep of training camp, they're giving him competition. They've got him under contract for another couple of years. They can continue to develop him. So in a lot of ways, this is sort of giving Stidham some competition. You see if he's ready. Chances are you're going with Cam. Maybe he wows you. If he doesn't, you've got a great answer for right now. And either way, you're throwing multiple darts at the dartboard. Don't forget, that's how the Seahawks found Russell Wilson 10 years ago. They struck out on a lot of guys, Pete Carroll and John Schneider did, before they found Wilson, guys like Matt Flynn, Charlie Whitehurst. That's basically what the Patriots are doing now. They're throwing multiple darts at that quarterback dartboard.
So I'll tell you where I'm not pessimistic, but I have questions. This offense does not have a deep threat, doesn't really have a proven tight end. I don't think it's one of the more talented O-lines, and Dante Scarnecchia retired. It is not an offense built for easy touchdowns. It is going to need 11 play drives, no fumbles, no penalties. Now, Cam is dynamic, but he has not always been consistent and efficient. It feels a little bit like you're asking Cam to be what he's not, instead of saying, hey, be yourself, do what you do, be dynamic. I don't think they have the pieces around him, regardless of how good Cam is, to be special. Is that a fair devil's advocate take?
This is going to test them, Colin, and I get all of your points, right? I'm going to take you back 2 years to 2018. The Patriots were looking at Lamar Jackson. They really liked Lamar Jackson. They toyed with the idea of drafting Lamar Jackson. Part of the discussion in that room was we would really need to blow up what we are offensively and what we've been offensively for almost 2 decades to make this work for Lamar Jackson. Go back 2 years before that. Look at what they did for Jacoby Brissett. You may remember he started on a Thursday night. Basically, on 3 days' notice, they were able to flip their offense upside down and run a totally different offense to accommodate Jacoby Brissett. They beat the Houston Texans 16-0 that night. And so I get all the points that you're making. No one is better at tailoring a offense or a defense to what he's got on each side of the ball than Bill Belichick is. We've seen it at just about every other position on the field. We haven't seen it so much at quarterback. Now we'll get to see it at quarterback. But I promise you, if Cam Newton's the starter, the Patriots are going to look a lot different offensively than they have the last 20 years with Tom Brady.
So the Cam Newton announcement came, 17 minutes after the cheating, the fuzzy, shady situation with the filming of the Bengals practice. The skeptic in me says they kind of did that on purpose, right?
Yeah. I don't think you're way off base there. I think there was probably some intention there. I even believe their story. I think this was an honest mistake, but if you're the New England Patriots, Colin, what is the one piece of equipment that you cannot be caught doing anything nefarious with?
The cameras.
It's a video camera. This is like the Astros getting caught doing something with a drum, right? So I think the league looks at this and has to say, well, we got to do something here. And I think what's most interesting about it, look, the $1.1 million penalty is certainly significant, even if it is a drop in the bucket for Robert Kraft. I think the draft pick part of this is really, really important because the Patriots had pushed for this to be seen as sort of a non-football violation. By adding the draft pick in, they are basically telling Patriots football operations, you are responsible for this. So that was sort of the interesting twist there. But I do believe on the surface that this was an honest mistake. And I also understand where the league has to come down on them for this because of their history.
By the way, DeMaurice Smith, Players Association president, says the Tom Brady stuff, the Russell Wilson stuff working out is not healthy. To that, I would say it may not be healthy, but it is about winning. And Russell Wilson and Tom Brady, this is who they are, man. They're driven cats. I mean, what are you hearing behind the scenes? Is the league really bothered by it, or is it one of these eye rolls like they want to pretend like they're bothered?
I mean, I think it's, basically a message to the public that we are taking this seriously, the same way the protocols were. You got those 9 pages of training camp protocols. And I think a lot of the teams said, well, this is basically a press release. This is a signal to the public that they're taking COVID very, very seriously and that we're all going to have to adjust as we go. But some of the stuff in the protocols weren't practical. And it's also probably not practical in such a competitive environment to tell quarterbacks not to gather all of their skill position people in one place and get to work if they know everybody else is working. And this is happening everywhere. We saw Dak do it earlier in the offseason. Matt Stafford's done this a couple times. Matt Ryan, I'm telling you, Colin, basically ran a 9-week offseason program for the Falcons in both California and Florida. And most recently, Kyler Murray paid for all the Cardinals skill position players to fly to Dallas. They all worked out at his high school, Allen High School, for a few days. So this is happening across the NFL. It's such a competitive environment. I think the NFL knows there's no stopping it, but they have to at least signal to the public that they are taking these things seriously.
By the way, when does Cam report to New England? He goes NFC to AFC, warm weather to cold weather, totally different environment. When's he going to show up in New England?
Well, he would. The report date for quarterbacks is going to be a few days before the report date for everybody else, but the Patriots open on the first Sunday of the regular season, and all the teams that start on that first Sunday have a report date of July 28th. So July 28th would be the veteran report date. My guess would be that Cam Newton would be in probably sometime less than a week before that.
Yeah, he's going to look so different in a Patriot uniform. Yeah. It's just crazy. Albert, great stuff. Monday Morning Quarterback Lead Strategist, covered the NFL for 15 years. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.